please. Yes. Like,
Swear to me that everything you said about the Fireflies is true.
I swear.
Okay.
Okay.
can you turn that up, please? Like, you had it up to like, yeah, there we go. Let's.
So, I'm just curious. I'm not going to pause it here because literally nothing's happening. I'm just curious, like, after you played the game, how do you feel about Joel now in the game? Like, Pedro Pascal?
Oh, jeez. Well,
I don't think we really talked about that.
Well, the thing about these games, you might as well stop it for a sec. The thing about these games and just the story itself, well, it's the games. They make you play. They make you play the character that you don't want to play. They make you do things you don't want to do because you sympathize with different characters.
Sure.
And so, in the first game, in the first episode or the first season, like you're watching him do this, and you're like, no, what are you doing? What are you doing? So you start to like not like the character, but you still sympathize with him in a sense. I think more so with Pedro Pascal on the show, just because there's more emotion there because it's an actual person and not just a video game character. Like there's definitely emotion that you build watching a video game character, but not the same as like a live actor. So you kind of see his point, but you're going, oh, that's such a dumb decision though. So I think watching the show, I was still very torn about how I felt about him. I wouldn't say he was the villain or, in the wrong totally. You're kind of stuck there going like he's doing something that's morally wrong, but he's also broken himself. And I don't know.
Sure.
That's where I kind of sit with it.
Okay. I still want to comment on how much I love all the subtle changes, like even in the first season that Chuck and I knew about. They showed the whole story of how like the first day started. You didn't see any of that in the game. Spoiler warning: this isn't in the game. None of this is in the game. They're doing a whole bunch of legwork to like really hammer it home, and I guess that's a good thing. I like that.
Yeah. So I will say, I'm gonna keep on ripping on the actress here. I don't even know her name. I haven't even looked it up. But
it doesn't really matter at this point. We can figure all that out later.
But the point is, like, I'm not gonna rip on it in a sense, but I'm gonna say she would have made a better Ellie. She looks like she could have been Ellie.
Maybe.
I mean, her age makes more sense. I mean, because
she's lean. She's leaner than Bella Ramsey was.
Exactly. So Bella Ramsey, after having played the games, I like they're too different looking.
Yeah.
But this girl could have easily played Ellie.
I think I agree with this.
Just by looks.
Just by
looks alone.
I'm not trying to come down on Bella Ramsey at all, but Bella Ramsey's she's a little more chunky than Ellie is in the game.
But not even that. It's like she has one of those, like, there's certain people who just like Frankie Muniz, Michael J. Fox. They look like kids even when they're 30. It's just so that's the problem with Bella Ramsey is that it was great that they had this older, girl playing a younger girl, when she was playing like a 14-year-old, but she was really like 18 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But now that she's like in her mid-20s or whatever, she still looks like a little kid. So we're not going to see that age, her aging up
Right.
and looking older like we did in the games. Of course, because the games were made and it's like they can make somebody look 20 years older, 50 years older, and it's fine. So that was my big concern is when we're doing jumping back and forth and seeing like anything from the past and then going forward, we're gonna run into limitations when it comes to the show compared to what we had in the game.
I guess.
Because I mean, the game, without getting into details, the game does go back and kind of show the in between stuff.
Sure.
Just to kind of fill it in, but it's just
Sure.
it's adding to the story.
But
they can't do that now.
This is adding to Abby's story, which I like.
Right. So are they going to CG massive muscles on her or something? Like
That'd be weird.
It would be weird.
Anyway.
And then somehow make her 3 feet taller, because look how tiny she is compared to that dude. Right now, like she's a little kid.
I'm guessing that's supposed to be Owen.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely going to be Owen.
Okay. I don't want to do this the whole way through, but for this I have to. Spot on.
Yeah.
Spot on.
She's doing a good job.
She's doing good. Yeah. I wasn't even talking about her. I was just talking about the set. It's spot on. Like even the way that building is in the square, it's spot on.
Yeah.
Chuck, I'm sorry.
I was
know you're
say,
tired.
I
know you're tired.
No,
man.
I'm fine with that. I'm just thinking if we really want to do this, we can't stop it every 5 minutes.
No,
right.
But
we gotta go 15 minutes and talk a little bit, because if we pause it every 5 minutes, it's gonna take us forever.
Yeah, I could see Will was itching, so that's why I was like, okay.
I just wanted to say that. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that she does seem older, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it did say 5 years later.
I know, but I know that, but I'm saying she herself seems older. She seems a little bit more mature, and I appreciate.
I can't figure out whether or not it's CG, but we'll get into that later. It looks a little.
With this?
Yeah, they did something. No, not the set. Her, Bella Ramsey.
Oh.
That's they.
I don't think...
The baby face, gone.
Yeah.
So
well,
okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, you so what about it?
I think I Clay. I'll catch you later. First, you have 4 minutes and 20.
Yeah, sorry, nothing.
What's good?
There's some breakers here. We got all damn well screens.
Did you?
Okay. Well, first, before we miss the circuits, you gotta check my last time you do that.
I licked them?
Well, check it. No, it's right here. It's right next. Not a count, sir. You turn the each of the then release the lever, circuits. Otherwise, my hard let's see walls on fire. Here's your house.
Can I ask a question?
Shoot.
Why can't you?
She's right.
Oh, but
You're best friend. She's building.
nope.
I'll figure something. I'll be in 19 year. I am. Unless your parents had any other kids will look just figuring out the first time, so we do it.
Yeah, makes sense. So this brings to
I think it's not right. I don't know how to ask me over she's her, but I'm not you.
I know.
Yeah, well, I get myself responsible for another emotional sleep.
Are you fucking therapy? Oh, you should have seen
I'm
you.
not there, geez, so I'll fix it anyway. So I'll practice full roots and we'll feel the extra, so yes,
It'll be okay.
you know, I'm telling you, I'm therapy.
Bro.
Let's go to sleep.
Thanks, so, sir. You good?
Yes.
I see. Ah, okay. What's up? What's up? What's up? I don't think so. What's up? He's on the opposite. Always. Sorry, I
Yes.
yeah, those. I'm not every night. You can help me. Check that. We can talk. Actually, that. Take what closer. We can get much. This is what?
It's in my fucking fence.
He's too much.
Unfucking real.
No, that's right. You're right.
It was too much. I handled it. It's not your job.
What up?
Oh, so he's in the jail. Time to run the fucking fence. Tommy, I'm gonna go get you what I can do.
No, wait, tell me. Wait, I know how bad. Spanish? You just go on.
I'm trying to stop here. Why am I going to do this right now?
Hey, no, you sure? I'm not
I'm not.
Abby, you don't talk about that. That's right. Your mother? Say that first.
I'm not.
I'm gonna start doing it. Yeah, well, rules. What they got it? What questions? What questions?
That's just captain. Hey, Clay, whatever. My book.
Okay. I hope this picks up. And
I think I heard you snoring a couple of
and
times.
I hope
already.
the game does not start off this slow.
No.
So
no.
what made season 1 really, really good so far? I mean, we talked about season 1 opens amazingly. It's chaos. It's hectic. You know, it's Chicken Little and the earth is, the sky is falling and everything is just happening. You're just dealing with everything.
Sure.
Grandma's turning, everyone's turning.
Yeah.
Nothing. We're what, 15 minutes in right now?
We
Yeah.
are
Easily.
18, 20 minutes in?
18, 20 minutes in.
Yep.
And we've seen an infected person from a scope.
A couple.
Yeah.
Sure.
This type of episode should be in the middle of the season, not the opening of the season.
I think I kind of agree. We already know what the world is. We already
Yes.
built the world. We already know what's out there. We already know what the deal is. I just think that. Oh man, this is what was in both good, intriguing, and difficult about the first season. When you and I had to be like on the outside, and Lee was the one who was on your end. It's a slow burn now, but there's a purpose to it that I can't get into just yet. It's a slow burn now, and there's a purpose that I can't get into just yet because I know that eventually you're gonna get what you're looking for. You're gonna get the chaos. Like it's not gonna stay like this forever. I agree with you, and even in the game, I'll give you this. Even in the game, it doesn't start off slow, but you do start off like in Jackson, and it is very
More
home.
story than game.
It's more story than game. It's very homely, and you get to see like the establishment and the community and everything, and you get to experience all that. And then
Right.
like the big blow up happens. The point of it is so that you have the gut punch when things go to.
Well, that's my thought process. Is I'm
Sure.
thinking that what's going to happen is what happened in season 1 to the Earth is going to happen to
Absolutely.
this town.
Absolutely.
Is going to happen to this town coming up. As much as in a lot of TV shows and movies, I'm not a fan of it. I kind of wish it started out in the middle of the chaos and
Okay.
then kind of went back.
For a second season, I agree. This is
Yes.
it does
Start off
feel
in the midst of it, get you back into the feel
Yeah.
of what the show is all about,
Yeah.
and then go back and say 3 weeks earlier or a month earlier or whatever the time frame is.
Right.
I guess it's
That
another.
would have been a better cold open for this season than what we're seeing right now.
I guess it's another thing that we were talking about before, how we were talking about like video games into movies and how certain things just don't translate very well. Because like
Right.
every game, whether it's a sequel or it's a trilogy of video games, all of them start off kind of the same. It's the slow build and it ramps you up and the gameplay ramps up as the game goes on. That kind of thing doesn't translate very well to screen because it can come off very slow. I think I'm on your side
Right.
with this.
Yeah, and the way the game kind of goes is, I mean, again, without getting too much into it, there's a lot of jumping around in the game.
Sure.
And yeah, I mean, it makes sense. They kind of have to do that in order to tell the story, and the way they do. I mean, just like any other storytelling thing, where it's like you don't want to give too much away
No.
in order for like the mystery and stuff like that to be unveiled to the viewer or the player, in the game sense.
I also think that they're doing a really good job of throwing the game players off with showing you a lot of stuff that wasn't in the game.
Yes.
So, like I said, him sitting down, fixing, tinkering with that thing, not in the game.
Not in the game. I didn't even realize he
Yeah.
had any type of relationship with Dina.
Sure. Like none of that was in the game. The whole therapy thing wasn't in the game. Like all of that's new, and I like that because now I don't really know where it's going. So that's a good thing. I don't know. I'm gonna hit play.
So I will say this just before we get too far. And I'll bring it up again later when we have our little discussion at the end. Is my concern is if they continue to go at this rate, do you think they're going to stretch the game to 2 different seasons?
Well, they've already been greenlit for season 2. Season 3.
Without so I'm wondering if they're going to take Last of Us 2 and split it, so we're actually not going to get the full story here. I kind of think that might be what they're going to do because otherwise they're just going to make a whole new story that doesn't line up with the game.
Yeah.
Because it looks like, I don't know if you've been reading some of the things, it doesn't look like they're making a 3rd game because they just released a package deal of the 2 games with like extra content and everything, and they call it The Last of Us Complete.
Yeah.
Now, I mean that
could mean anything.
It for what it is.
That could mean anything.
It could, but it sounds to me like the developers are like, listen, we had a good thing, we don't want to kill it.
Right.
It was people were already divided with the new game.
Right.
But there were people who did love the game anyway. Let's just not, beat a dead horse.
I guess so. I guess so.
So I'm wondering if that's what they're going to do, and if that's the case, it would be wise of the showrunners to just let's just take the story and spread it a bit because the game was a long game. What was it, like 24 hours or something? Or
game.
Longer than that?
Long game. Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of story to tell.
There is.
So,
there is a lot of story to tell. You could split it. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna play.
Continue.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Not nervous.
You shot and killed my husband. You killed Eugene. And I'm sorry for it. No, you don't want that. I hate you for it. I hate you for it. Yes, I know you have a choice. I know that. I know I should forgive you. I've tried. I can't. Because of how you did it. And looking at your face, sitting in our home, makes me so fucking angry.
What?
There it is. That's it. I'm ashamed, but it's in the air, and I can't take it back. Maybe there's a chance I can with you. Your turn. Say the thing you're afraid to say. I can help you. Say it out loud. It's not bad. I promise I will help. Did you do something to her? Did you hurt her? And what? What did you do? Sleeper.
Wow.
Hi. Can you do it? I can send it. I heard you guys today. Tell me. Tell me. We're closer. Tell me. Here's your picture. Look at boots. Okay, here we go. Just there we go. Yeah, there. It's too harder. Look, there's leather. You know, there's like, I thought you know, what's the you want to go? Yeah, sure. You shouldn't.
Okay, we're on this now because of one or two of you, so I'll make sure. Maybe I'll find one. No problem, the trails, listen up. Take Route 191 down the way. Yes, yeah.
Should we stick to roads and just find the books?
What? That sounds great. But when we all that, we gotta close the trains so careful to get to town. Now, I see how you're going to sniper. We remind you, it's just AV control. If you want to find, that's fine. Anything more, anything worse, come back and squad. That's it?
You don't like yours on that, right?
Same, same. Thank you. Your patrol leader's tapped, so you will follow our orders. Your back, they all good signs yellow. Yellow good, green bad. Good side. Anything more seriously? Yes, I do. Some. Okay, I'll find one. Move out.
1 second, I want to say one thing. And Chuck, you're not going to believe me, but maybe you will. It's moving faster than the game. If
It
you could
is.
believe that.
Yeah,
This
the
is
game
like
has like
they're going out when they go out on their run. You're like an hour in. It's ridiculous. So I do like that.
So that's great. With the game, it's more interactive.
Sure,
So
sure, yeah.
you're gonna it's
point.
gonna feel different.
Point.
Um,
well, you're not going to spend 20 minutes having a snowball fight with anybody. So it's like the point is that
True. You don't
they're
need
not
the
they're not
snowball fight.
doing some of the dumb little things. They're getting the story told here, as opposed to just like showing you the
no, I
essence
get
of
that.
everything.
I get that, and
So that's good.
and I still think what they're doing would have been fine if they started it 15 minutes into the episode and started
Yeah.
with chaos.
Yeah.
I agree.
I
And then
kind
have
of
a
agree.
have a
Yeah.
have a backtrack.
Yeah. This is a really
I
this is a slow burn. This is
I just want to say
We already know this world. We don't need to get reacclimated to it again.
Well,
no, you're
not
right.
really.
You're right. It's that's
But-
a valid complaint. You're right. I'm not gonna
but we don't know where they are 5 years in and her relationship to the people around her.
Don't
So
care.
they're but that's what they're trying to get to here. And they're trying to make there's a safety here that she's going to be leaving, on whatever. Like that's the whole thing that they're trying to get at.
Again, understandable.
Yeah,
Just
give us something first.
This is
Yes.
but
Wake
but
us up.
I you're right. You're both absolutely right. This is a slow burn. Wake us up. I am fully 100% on board with the two of you on that. The one thing though is I don't want them to repeat the mistakes of Walking Dead. Where Walking Dead was everything was like chaos for a long period of time. Season 1 opened at chaos, season 2 opened at chaos, 3, 4, and finally that show fell off a cliff because they really didn't have anything left in the tank, right?
Nothing else was chaotic.
Nothing
anymore.
else was chaotic anymore. They kind of
Yeah.
they ran out of their resource in that regard, and it's what tanked that show. And so I don't want I don't know. I don't want that show to make the same mistake, but it feels like this is going so far in the opposite direction that I don't know. Maybe I agree with the two of you, and I think that there should be
Well,
like
the one thing that-
a happy middle road.
the one thing that Walking Dead did was it started off with chaos, and then it continued, and then it died down.
Sure.
Mhm.
What I'm talking about is started off with chaos that's like in the middle of everything, and then rewind,
Yeah,
and then bring us back up to that
Right.
chaos
Yes.
again.
that's what you're saying.
That would feel different than what Walking Dead did.
Sure.
The way that Walking Dead did it is like, you're seeing, chaos ensue, and then you're like, yes, it's gonna be a season full of the dead, and then you're like, but really it's not. And as of right, I want to see. I'm in season 2 of this IP. I want to see Infected.
Hmm.
Why
Yeah.
have I not seen Infected half an
Yeah.
hour into it yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we said that
Give
last
us
season.
something.
We said that last season. Why weren't there more bloaters?
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
Right.
More runners, more whatever. Clickers, not so much. Those should be spotty.
Yeah, true. I get
but-
I get it. And I agree. This is slow. I agree. Okay.
So what's interesting to me here is they've changed the relationship dynamics with a lot of these characters. You've got this character, the older Asian guy there, Jesse.
Mhm.
You've got Dina, and then seeing like their relationship with Ellie and with Joel and Tommy, and you've got this character Gail, which I don't remember. Gail was not in the game at all, right?
Nope.
That's just no. It's this whole therapy thing. Interesting enough, which I'm sure we'll see, is Eugene is actually played by Joe Pantoliano.
Really?
So I guess that means we're going to see a little, maybe a flashback, or maybe he's just in a picture frame, which I think would be a waste.
possibly.
So I'm sure we're gonna jump around a little
Joe
bit and get a little bit more
Pantoliano.
into that.
That's interesting.
But
That's
Robert John
interesting.
Burke is also in this. He's credited as somebody named Seth, and he was the second RoboCop. Yeah, but he was also a few other people. He was in a movie called Thinner. It was like a Stephen King adaptation into a movie. Really interesting movie. And I remember his face very vividly because they did a lot. He was a fat guy, and then he got a gypsy curse and became so thin that he just died. That was the idea, was he was going to get so thin and emaciated that he just died. But lots of interesting faces here, but it's very interesting to see because I'm wondering now, because we've already seen these different dynamics, like how far is that going to go? Are they gonna bring it back to, you know, what we know is the dynamics in the story here, or is that really going to be something they're going to stretch for 2 seasons and then add new ways that these relationships develop? I don't know.
I mean, if there's one big change is this whole denial arc that Joel is going on. That's different, and I like it.
Yeah,
I like it. I like it a lot. I could have done with that a little with his character in the actual game, like
right.
So yeah, but
his relationship with Dina is interesting. So I don't think I've ever seen them interact.
It's weird, but it's
and then him basically saying stuff like, "Oh, you know, I kind of feel like she's my daughter and not Ellie," and it's like, what?
Yeah.
What is going on here?
Yeah.
Like, he's almost sounded like he wants to trade in for a new model. You know, it's strange. But I mean, let's. I just don't understand it.
I'm gonna hit play.
I don't understand.
I'm gonna hit play.
So going back? No, she's going. Take anyone? Nope. We're not. That's cool. We're not attacked. Because she's the other one. Oh my god, Max. You used to be there. She doesn't have to work. Right, yes, I do. But no. Oh, you're in someone else. So, you got me. We need to fake. We need to school. Bring numbers. Which one? We're gonna do that. Yeah, that's a good night. You're just got it. Yes, again. No. What is it? I don't know. Okay. Wait. We can go back and forth. We got it. We got
So you think
You
Hungry
pause it
Boy's
for a
still
second.
alive in there?
Is this a real relationship in the game?
Oh, yeah.
These two.
Yep. There you go.
Yes.
You knew that was gonna happen, though. They kind of established that in the first game. That yeah, come on.
Oh no, she was.
Yeah, but you know,
But this other girl,
no, stop. You have no idea where it's going. But yeah,
I kind of have an idea of where it's going.
It's a problem. There's problems.
They kind of gave it away when she was tightening the gun around her. You know,
Buddy.
I guess so.
it's kind of like,
And it's like, oh, you like someone else? Want to go with me? What?
Hi.
no, the other one. The other one. Okay.
That's a fantastic way to put it, though. The other one. Okay.
My question is, are they going to play it off where? What's the new girl's name?
Oh,
Dina?
Dina.
Yeah, where she just wants to be friends, but Ellie's like into her.
Are you asking?
I mean,
Yeah.
What do you think, Chuck?
I think that Ellie's into her.
Yeah.
And I think the way that I'm getting it right now is Ellie's into her, but Dina is still just friends. And Ellie's going to try to establish more. And at first, Dina's going to be like, "What are you doing?"
This is a premonition.
And then by the
then
by the end of it, it's going to be a thing.
This is like a premonition. You want to put some money on it?
No, because you know it already.
Well, no, he doesn't, because the thing is, like I said, these relationship dynamics are so different. I don't know what they're going to do with this.
They are very, very different. Yeah, some of these dynamics are very, very different. I have no idea.
I don't think if it's a main relationship, I don't think they're going to change it all that much.
I can't do like full.
Just tell me this: in the game, does this happen?
Yes, in the game.
Okay.
This
happen?
In the game, this happens.
Okay,
but there are
in the game.
There are things way later that make it. It's not clean. This is not. Don't think about it.
So we can say this. This doesn't happen in the game. Pretty much everything we've watched so far does not happen really in the game.
When I say
most
this,
things.
I mean the relationship.
Well, so what I'm saying is, like, this is all kind of like a prequel to the game in a sense.
Yeah.
Really, because like a lot of this stuff that we're seeing is kind of talked about but never really shown.
You're kind of
So
yeah.
This seems like it's leading up to the relationship dynamics that we kind of start off with in the game. That's a good way to put it, I suppose.
I can see. Here's the thing. I think.
I mean, they're talking about a party that we never see.
But you're going. Ooh, man. Yeah, I'm hitting play. We're getting back. I'm hitting play. I don't.
Oh, hi, there. I'm sorry.
I,
Hey, go back now, please. Yeah, go. Let's just wait in there. Yeah, there's no babies in there. Hey, come on. Roll. Fine. If you're anything right now, okay. Good buttons. Come on. There's one more. You're not let them in there, what?
okay. Just make all the ground you can do that.
Sorry, can you send me a picture? Oh, sorry, no, you can't.
You don't continue to take. That's not right. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm good.
I'm broken. I don't think.
Wouldn't the first thing you
Are
do
you alone?
be grab your gun, just in case something down there just hurt you?
That's not
I
my
don't
question.
hear
My question
anything.
is, why does nobody ever fall on their own knife?
That's a good
That's a good
question. That's valid. Yes. I don't know.
End credits.
I'm
Follow
stabbed.
Joel
Oh my
instead.
god. I'm dying. That's it. Goodbye.
Cousins, we're good.
Created by Greg Mason.
I'm staying out. I'll boards. Okay. It's too far to go down. Sorry. Am I stay right here? Stay away. Yeah. Molly. Stay.
Wow, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh man. Barbecue.
Okay.
Yeah. Look at that. Wow.
Oh, interesting.
Very good. Being the person who hasn't played the game yet, so we're kind of doing things backwards. We did season 1. Will and I had played the game, and I was playing the game again whilst we were watching the season. And then Lee did not play the game, and he actually just recently played the game maybe 2 months ago. He then went into season Last of Us 2, and now Lee and Will have both played the 2 games, and I have not played Last of Us 2. So I'm going into this blind. And I just want to give my first thoughts. I kind of wish I played the game first, because watching this, it's actually making me not want to play the game.
Oh wow. Okay.
So far. And the reason being is this: nothing happened in this episode. So yes, they showed a clicker and this new
Stalker.
this new thing called the stalker.
Yeah.
But it was lackluster, and I'm guessing that in the game it wasn't. Like when we were introduced to a clicker in the first game, you were introduced to a clicker and you were terrified.
Well, even in the show, same thing.
Even in the show, the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
This felt like it was missing a ton. The whole episode was slow. The whole episode did not really build up to anything. Nothing happened. Usually a TV show, you're going to have a little bit going on. You're going to have a climax in the episode, and then you're going to come back down. It might leave you on a cliffhanger, and it's going to all kind of do this up and down roller coaster until you get to the big climactic ending of the season. Nothing happened in this episode aside from a kiss.
Yeah.
Which was expected from the very beginning.
Sure.
Yeah.
Please tell me that this is not how the game plays out.
No.
Because this is boring so far.
So what I
Go ahead.
well,
Go ahead.
yeah, what I can say about the game is there's a lot of jumping back and forth in time and between characters. So it makes the game less slow in that sense. I mean, the game has its slow moments. You have a lot of just like, oh, I really wish I could run through this town instead of walk slowly to the next building to get to the next part of me just learning my story. But aside from that, like you're jumping around, you're kind of getting an idea of who everybody is and who they are at this time.
Right.
So that does help. It does make the game go by much better. It is a good game. The way the game is, and the way like the controls and the mechanics and the things you can do, it's definitely like gameplay wise one of the best. It is probably the best game I've ever played as far as gameplay goes. Well, what am I? Not the term I'm looking for, not gameplay, but like physical controls.
Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic. And I've been, like I mentioned, I've been kind of like going through Uncharted, and they're very. They don't even hold a candle to like Last of Us 1 or 2. So it's like, ugh, I remember the difference and how smooth it was and how great it was to play Last of Us 2. But the biggest thing that's different here is in the show is it's definitely slow. It's definitely world building. As you mentioned before, the world was already built. So why are we taking so long here?
Yes.
Why are we dragging it out? The only thing I can say is to establish the relationship dynamics. And the relationship dynamics here are different than they are in the game. Or at least we're getting a little bit more, I mean, we've got this character that was introduced, played by Catherine O'Hara, who's playing Gale, mentions, mentions a dead husband that apparently Joel had something to do with.
I was gonna say I never met that person in the first game.
No.
No.
Okay.
No. So it's probably going to come out, especially since he's credited in there. I mean, this is only the first episode, so when they have top cast in the first episode, I didn't see a picture anywhere of him. So the fact that they're saying it's him, maybe it's a joke. Maybe it's just like, hey, look, it's Joe. Remember him? Or maybe he's just going to come up later on in another episode. But there's a bunch of characters that are listed here on IMDb that haven't been shown in this first episode. So I guess they just don't have the cast list accurate until they put out a few more episodes and have it based on who's actually in it. But the dynamics are different here. As mentioned, you got this character Dina who has a relationship with Joel. Apparently, like there's some kind of relationship there where he knows who she is. He makes a couple comments about how almost like he's just like, Ellie is blowing me off, but this Dina, she's really nice to me. It's nice to have her talk to me. And it's just like, yeah, but Ellie, it's like, geez, things were good before, but now I've got Dina.
Yeah.
It just seemed weird because I didn't know, because you don't get that at all from the game. The only thing you understand is there's a relationship between Jesse, Dina, and Ellie, and that's really all you get. And then this weird relationship between Joel and Ellie. So it's interesting, but slow.
So what I will say is I agree with the two of you. It is slow. I think there's a such thing as maybe there is a such thing as sticking too close to the source material, because the time that you spend in Jackson in the game is slow. It is slow. It is plotting. It is building. The gameplay, depending on what you do, depending on what you look at, if you're reading all the little letters, if you're looking around and everything, blah, 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 and if you're just like taking in Jackson for what it is in the game, you can easily waste away about 2 hours of gameplay in that section alone before, kaboom, we're off. Like you can, you can absolutely waste a whole lot of time there. I think there is such a thing as sticking too close to the source material. There's a lot that they left out of the game that just further establishes Jackson. I think there was a lot in this episode that you could have absolutely cut out. There was a lot of things that you just did not need. You did not need to establish this world. You did not need to establish that, Ellie knows how to shoot or that Ellie can take care of herself. You didn't need to do any of that. You could have literally started off with here's Jackson, spend 5 minutes, establish this. She got something going on with Joel. It's not good. We know what it is as the audience, but everybody else is kind of on the outside about that. And then she's off to do her run and then do whatever you want to outside of Jackson, and then you can move on from there. Yeah, everything else is filler. I 100% agree.
Ellie learning how to shoot is in the game. This specific scene is literally
it is in the game, but
you don't need it for the TV show.
You don't need it for the show. We know that she knows how to do things.
Because it's not a skill that
not at all.
We need to learn.
Not at all. Not at all.
We need to learn how to shoot up a little bit because the bullet drops.
She learns how to shoot in the first game, in the first season. She learns all of these things. The show opening up with her, having a sparring match with somebody should establish a lot, but then they just kind of they retread that ground again when she's out there shooting. They retread that ground again when she's out there on her run. They're trying to build her up as, excuse my language. They're trying to build her up as the badass that she is in the second game.
Yes,
they don't. Maybe they spent a little too much time on it. I'm not gonna. Yeah. They spent a little too much time on it. I agree.
There was also a lot of scenery shots too.
Yeah.
I don't need another shot of the mountains.
Yeah.
We know where we're at.
Yeah.
We know what's going on.
Yes.
I don't care. And I think too, like,
I'm also gonna say this. I'm also gonna say this for you, Chuck, and anybody else who feels the way that you do, or the way that all three of us feels. I think at the end of this, you're gonna look back and say, "Okay, hindsight's 2020."
Yeah.
hopefully,
I think that's
I
gonna
hope.
be. I think that's gonna be one of those things. But in the
I
moment,
hope so. But
in the moment, it doesn't feel good.
right, I hope so. And I say this is yes, I agree with Lee that they're trying to establish relationships. This is not how you do it in a TV show, though.
No.
This is not how you do it in a post-apocalyptic, zombie apocalyptic world. This is not how you build relationship.
No.
There's too much at risk. And I understand that the whole concept, I'm guessing, of game 2 is that there is such safety in this town of Jackson that everybody gets comfortable that all of a sudden these things find a way in and then chaos ensues because they let their guard down because they get too comfortable. And I guess that, and I don't know if that's accurate. That's just my
Sure.
assumption of the story.
Sure.
Very common storytelling right there.
Yeah.
But you can establish these relationships in a whole nother way. You can establish these relationships with, like, the whole scene where she gets introduced to the stalker. That was all of 2.5 minutes. Make that a 7-8 minute scene where she's terrified
Sure.
and she's never experienced this.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if in the game she's like, run at me. Maybe she does.
I don't think they're really explained in the game. They're just kind of there, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they had like an introduction.
I mean,
Well, that's why I got confused and said it out loud. I'm like, is that a stalker? And you're like, be quiet. I'm like, what? I thought
Well,
they
no,
were just
you
because
learn-
they don't make a big introduction.
You learn about them kind of in the game, but they are just kind of introduced in a way too.
Yeah, they're just it's glossed over. It's not really.
Yeah.
This was
yeah.
actually more impactful than they were introduced.
I
in the
think
game.
so too. I think
which
this
is
was
sad.
I think this was better than the way that they introduced the stalkers in the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It just was too short.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too. That too.
If it was 6, 7, 8 minutes long, and it was if this whole scene had more in it between the two that they run into, and it was super easy.
I think the
Clickers-
scene.
Clickers are supposed to be super difficult, and
It-
in this, it was like shank, 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 done.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what they were going to get at. So in the first season of the show, did anybody actually like shank the stalkers like that, or is it all headshots with a gun?
Clickers, you mean?
The
Well, yeah,
clickers,
yeah,
yeah.
clickers.
I think there was a couple of stabbies.
Okay,
can't
well,
remember all
what
that
they're
well,
trying to what they're trying to show here again, because all this episode was world building,
Yeah.
showing you what's going on, showing you where she is right now, how much she's matured in this level or that level. But the idea of this was like, okay, the big bad before was clickers. I mean,
Now it's
there were
stalkers.
bloaters, but the big thing before was clickers. Let's see how they fare against them, and they had a plan. Okay, there's two in there. There's two of us. Okay, throw a bottle. Go ahead, stabby. We're good to go. We move on, and then we're introduced to another bad. Now, I will say this without getting crazy about it. I feel like there's still more clickers than there are stalkers in the game. It's just like they're just kind of another thing added,
Yeah.
and they're the only real difference, which you kind of saw here, is they still have their eyesight, so they have an advantage that the clickers don't have.
Yeah.
So if you go ahead and shine a flashlight, they're going to see you because they're basically stalking you.
I like
so-
the interaction overall though, and I think
Yeah.
I think I agree with Lee. I like the interaction. I like the introduction of the stalkers in the show a lot more than the game. I also want to say
Absolutely.
that to me the scene was just it's sad, but the scene wasn't so much about introducing the stalker. The scene was to showcase that Ellie is reckless. Like
Yes.
that's kind of what I got from the whole thing. Like the way that she goes in, the way that she just rushes over the thing, and even during the episode, I heard Lee say, "What are you doing?" when she's walking over the glass, and it's like she is
Yeah.
completely reckless. And then she just jumps on the thing. I don't know. She doesn't care because she's immune.
She's
So,
immune.
exactly. So she doesn't care,
Yeah.
which is I think that's a good fit for her character. I
So-
love that, and I also love that Joel is going through this whole denial thing right now where he can't even bring himself to say the words out loud. Like, you literally get that in this episode, which I also think is fantastic.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, Pedro Pascal, he continues to nail this character in everything that this character is. I have no complaints about that. I have no complaints about the performances. I have no complaints about the story that they're telling because I know where it's going. The only complaint that I have is I agree with the two of you. This was slow. For, you know, a season opener, this was a slow burn. So, it's that's what I got to say. Anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, I figured these would be pretty short conversations because we have a
that's it.
fuller conversation in the middle of it. But yeah, I mean, there's not really much to say about this episode besides, you know, just talk about the little differences that we noticed, at least on our end. And then just, you know, Chuck's just going like, this is it's not even a slow burn. It's just a slow episode altogether. You know, a couple of interesting parts, but yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything else to say about it. But I will, but Catherine O'Hara, I've always really appreciated her skill and the way that she acts certain things, and I like her character so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, I'm tired and I'm blanking on this word. Montage. They could have done this entire episode in, like, they could have taken most of this episode and put it into 2 montages.
Yeah.
And then
Probably.
made more with the episode.
Probably, yeah.
And
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This compared to season 1 so far doesn't even. Pedro Pascal is killing it. Bella Ramsey's doing a great job. All these people are doing great for the acting that they're supposed to be doing. However, snooze fest so far.
Sure. Yeah.
If
I'm not going to go that far. I'm not going to go that far and say snooze fest, but it's slow.
It's super slow.
Yeah.
Not literally, except for the 3 minutes of them in this grocery market. Nothing happened in this episode. Not a single thing. There was 0 meat to this episode.
I feel like things are. I think.
Yeah.
0 meat.
I mean, there was a big
bear
in there. The barbecue.
The barbecue.
So I'm gonna go ahead and just make my guess based on how they're doing this, and just saying, like, based on the game and based on just looking at the way that they started us off. As I mentioned, which isn't giving really much away, you jump between characters. So I have a feeling that this next episode is going to start off from somebody else's perspective.
Sure.
In order to switch things up a little bit. And I hope they don't use that to do another world building episode that's super slow.
Yeah.
Which I wish they did that within the episode.
That would have
not
been
episode to episode.
I think, and I'm just guessing based off of, you know, what we're seeing here and just thinking about what it means to be a creator and how you want to, like, slowly get people into it in a sense, but not drag. Is the only reason they did that was just to remind you, okay, we're focusing on Ellie here. This is the point. Like, this is the character we know.
Yeah.
Here's where she's at. Here's what's going to happen before they can do a lot of jumpy. If they did jumpy,
do you know how they do that though? Recap from season 1.
Yeah,
we're good.
But there's a 5-year gap.
Doesn't matter.
They're trying to show you who she's become now.
You'll get that through watching the show.
Yeah,
I guess so.
Yeah.
I feel like they're just trying to get it out of the way now so they can move on.
But that's the thing, though, is they don't even need to do it.
They don't.
Just move on. We know who she is. We had an entire season and an entire game becoming who she is. Just say 5 years later, and then pick up, and then we'll figure out who she is along the way.
So the only grace that I'm gonna give this, and this is to Lee, and I'm sorry, Chuck, if this it's not gonna give anything away, but I
you're good.
So Lee and I had a conversation a little while ago after he got done playing the second game, and we both agreed we did not see Bella Ramsey playing that version of Ellie, and right. I think that must have been a talking point when they were writing, whatever, this season. Because they are trying to sell Ellie as She can go out there, she can kick butt, she can do whatever she wants to do, blah, blah, blah. They're trying to sell her as the all-powerful, hero of this story. That's what they're trying to do.
And I get that.
Okay.
But the thing is, though, is you do that by telling the story.
You're right.
You don't do that by ostracizing everything else and then just, maximizing on this one thing and then putting her in 3 minutes of, of what's going on to show that she's able to do that.
Yeah.
You just have the story told, and like they did in the first season, Joel was put into situations, and throughout the whole story, you were being told Joel's story. You were plopped into the middle of Joel's story the night that everything happened. And then you learned about him along the way. And along the way, we met Ellie, and we got to learn who Ellie was along the way, both in the game and in the show.
Yeah.
Now we have an idea of who these guys are. Pick up 5 years later, continue the story, and we will figure it out. You don't need to do world building and character building all over again for what sake? It's not needed. And if they continue down this path, then if they continue down this path and they don't change course, then I think as of right now, season 1 is a fail for HBO. It's not good. I would not give this a good rating as a TV show. I'm not even comparing it to the game. As a TV show, this episode is not a good episode. I would not give this, and it doesn't even come close to the worst episode of season 1, which was the episode that wasn't needed in episode 3. That was a better episode than this. So,
yeah, I guess.
I would be shocked if I heard a lot of good feedback on the internet this upcoming week about this episode.
I mean, we'll definitely, I'll keep an eye out for something like that, and next week we'll do like an update about what how everybody else felt about it. But I mean,
It's just
Yeah.
IMDb right now is giving it a 9.2 out of 10.
That seems incredibly high. I would wait a few more days for a lot more to come in.
That's because 2 people said something about it.
Yeah,
right.
It just came
Everybody
out.
else went to bed.
It's literally only been out for a few
234
hours
people. Only 234 people.
Wait,
I mean,
yeah.
that's tiny compared
that a
to
few
how
more
many people are
days.
watching this.
Give that a few more days, and then you'll start to see like a real score of this episode. So,
all right, I'm gonna go ahead and do a rating here. What do we got? Am I signed in?
Sure.
What do we think?
You go for
What
it.
do we think? Are you gonna go with a 4? I would give it a 4. It's not horrible.
What would you give it, Chuck?
I'll go with the 4.
You'll go with
Yeah?
a 4?
Yeah.
Would you go with a 5, Will?
I would go with a 5. Split the
Okay,
difference.
I'm gonna go with a 5 too, because I think it's right down the middle.
You know what? We'll split the difference. If you're going with a 5, Chuck's going with a 4. So you know what? We'll split it 4.75.
Can't do that. There's only stars.
That's crazy that you can't do 4 3/4. I
Nope.
say 5.
Can't do it. All right, going with 5.
5. All right. 5 out of 10.
I wish I could do 4.5.
Well. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
I would say a lot of the stuff from the first episode were, for first season
built-
were a
it's-
lot
it's-
higher than a 5. So
Let me ask you this, guys. If you take the game out of this,
Mhm.
and this is just a TV show,
yeah,
I would say
How would you
I would say that it was a fail. I would say that it's a fail because
exactly.
you don't build twice. There's literally no reason to build twice. But it goes back to a conversation that we had a little while ago about how certain things do not translate well to video games. every video game that you pick up,
From
the
video
first
games.
little while of the game is like, or the tutorial part of the game, whether it's the first game or the second game in a trilogy or a
You still
third,
go through it.
whatever. You're
Yeah.
still doing a lot of setup and building and world building and teaching you
Here's
about
how
how
you
the
run.
game
I
works.
know
Blah
how to
blah blah.
run.
You're doing all that in the game. You don't need to also do that in the show. That's
No.
taking the game completely out of it. You need to your premieres need to be a bang. This was not
Yes.
a bang.
No.
This was
And that's the thing. If this, like, when they did season 1, episode 1, and it was the first 15 minutes, it was just chaos.
it's chaos. It's absolute chaos. You're right.
And they did a good job. Whereas someone like Lee, who never played the game, now wants to play the game
Sure.
because of season 1. Someone like myself, who saw this for season 2, for game 2, I don't know how many people would want to go back and play the game based off of this episode.
Neither do I. I think I would agree with that one too.
Hmm.
I think I would agree with that one too. But I mean,
So that's my initial thoughts.
And
thoughts
you know
so
what?
far.
You know what? Even though I gave it a 4 out of 10 for the sake of Rotten Tomato or IMDb, would you put that?
I am IMDb.
Okay, so even though we gave it a 5 out of 10 for Rotten Tomato, I still, it's sticking. You know what? It's sticking true to the story. I will say that it's sticking true to the story, because the story in Jackson, it takes a while, and it's like even like, you know what? It's bad replay value. When I pick up that and I play both games like once every year or once every couple of years, and the past few times that I played Last of Us 2, it was a worse time. It's like, God, I just want to get out of Jackson. Hurry up and get over this. I want to get out of Jackson. I can't wait to get out of Jackson. Why can't I run? Why can't I pull out my gun? I don't want to do any of this. Oh my God, the snowball
Can I just
fight.
shoot all these people in Jackson?
Really?
So I don't
Can I
have
just
to
shoot
talk
all
to
these
them?
people right now so I can leave? Like you're waiting a
don't
long
wanna-
time for that game to get going. So it's just
But for film, for TV,
It
that's
doesn't
why
work.
they created the montage.
It doesn't. Yeah, true.
Because they could
Yeah.
have hit on all of these things
They could have
and
done
then
a
just
lot. Yeah,
start the story.
I agree.
But so that's my thoughts.
We've
so
been
far.
at this for hours and we're all tired.
Yes.
So we're done.
Well, I think it's pretty. I think we all know that we just. We need a montage.
Approach and just give it your best. You got to reach your prime, and that's when you need to put yourself to the test and show us the passage of time.
Okay, done.
We're gonna need montage.
I didn't know that was the song.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that was perfect.
All right.
I was trying to pull it up earlier, and I'm like, "What's this song called?" Montage.
All right.
All right,
right.
everyone. Thanks for joining us. And remember, patreon.com/black and white reviews. You can join up for as little as $3 a month.
$3.
And
$3.
there's so much on there. So check us out,
Yeah.
sign up, and enjoy.
Money.
Money, money, money.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Toodles.